Live from New Delhi, you're watching DT India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterates his government's stated policy that talks and terror cannot go hand in hand, says Operation Sindoor now new normal in India's fight against terror. Consensus reached on restoring peace in DGMO-level talks between India and Pakistan, both sides to consider immediate measures, while life limping back to normalcy at border towns of India. Hamas releases last living US-Israeli hostage Eden Alexander in effort to reach ceasefire in Gaza. US President Trump is on a historic tour of Gulf nations, reaches Saudi Arabia, talks on oil trade and Russia-Ukraine crisis on table. Iran warns Europeans of irreversible consequences after US announces new sanctions over its nuclear program. And on to the details. Operation Sindoor that smashed terror infrastructure in Pakistan was not just an operation but a doctrinal change and a policy against terror. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in an address to the nation, spoke about Operation Sindoor, a precision strike conducted by the Indian Armed Forces on terror sites in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The strikes were carried out after the Pahalgam terrorist attack, which claimed the lives of 26 people.
पाकिस्तान की तैयारी सीमा पर वार की थी, लेकिन भारत ने पाकिस्तान के सीने पर वार कर दिया। भारत के ड्रोन्स, भारत की मिसाइलों ने सटीकता के साथ हमला किया। पाकिस्तानी वायुसेना के उन एयरबेस को नुकसान पहुंचाया, जिस पर पाकिस्तान को बहुत घमंड था। भारत ने पहले 3 दिनों में ही पाकिस्तान को इतना तबाह कर दिया, जिसका उसे अंदाजा भी नहीं था। इसलिए भारत की आक्रामक कार्रवाई के बाद पाकिस्तान बचने के रास्ते खोजने लगा। पाकिस्तान दुनिया भर में तनाव कम करने के लिए गुहार लगा रहा था।
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said that Operation Sindoor has proved the efficiency of Made in India defense equipments and also India as a self-sufficient military power. Prime Minister said that the country has proved its dominance in modern warfare and must now lead in defense innovation through homegrown technology.
हम भारत और अपने नागरिकों को किसी भी खतरे से बचाने के लिए लगातार निर्णायक कदम उठाते रहेंगे। साथियों, युद्ध के मैदान पर हमने हर बार पाकिस्तान को धूल चटाई है और इस बार ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ने नया आयाम जोड़ा है। हमने रेगिस्तानों और पहाड़ों में अपनी क्षमता का शानदार प्रदर्शन किया और साथ ही न्यू एज वॉरफेयर में भी अपनी श्रेष्ठता सिद्ध की। इस ऑपरेशन के दौरान हमारे मेड इन इंडिया हथियारों की प्रामाणिकता सिद्ध हुई। आज दुनिया देख रही है 21वीं सदी के वॉरफेयर में मेड इन इंडिया डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट्स, इसका समय आ चुका है।
In his address, Prime Minister Modi also said many terrorist leaders were roaming freely in Pakistan for the last 2.5 to 3 decades who used to conspire against India.
आतंक के बहुत सारे आका बीते 2.5-3 दशकों से खुलेआम पाकिस्तान में घूम रहे थे, जो भारत के खिलाफ साजिशें करते थे। उन्हें भारत ने एक झटके में खत्म कर दिया। साथियों, भारत की इस कार्रवाई से पाकिस्तान घोर निराशा में गिर गया था, हताशा में गिर गया था, बौखला गया था। और इसी बौखलाहट में उसने एक और दुस्साहस किया। आतंक पर भारत की कार्रवाई का साथ देने के बजाय पाकिस्तान ने भारत पर ही हमला करना शुरू कर दिया।
Also, Prime Minister Modi in his address saluted the valor of the Indian Armed Forces, intelligence agencies and scientists involved in Operation Sindoor.
हम सभी ने बीते दिनों में देश का सामर्थ्य और उसका संयम दोनों देखा है। मैं सबसे पहले भारत की पराक्रमी सेनाओं को, सशस्त्र बलों को, हमारी खुफिया एजेंसियों को, हमारे वैज्ञानिकों को, हर भारतवासी की तरफ से सैल्यूट करता हूं। हमारे वीर सैनिकों ने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के लक्ष्यों की प्राप्ति के लिए असीम शौर्य का प्रदर्शन किया।
While speaking about Operation Sindoor, Prime Minister Modi said that the operation has set a new benchmark in India's fight against terrorism, establishing a new standard and redefining the norm. He also categorically stated the actions India would take if it were to be struck by terrorism again.
भारत की तीनों सेनाएं, हमारी एयरफोर्स, हमारी आर्मी और हमारी नेवी, हमारी बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी फोर्स बीएसएफ, भारत के अर्धसैनिक बल लगातार अलर्ट पर है। सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक और एयर स्ट्राइक के बाद अब ऑपरेशन सिंदूर आतंक के खिलाफ भारत की नीति है। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ने आतंक के खिलाफ लड़ाई में एक नई लकीर खींच दी है, एक नया पैमाना, न्यू नॉर्मल तय कर दिया है। पहला, भारत पर आतंकी हमला हुआ तो मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया जाएगा। हम अपने तरीके से, अपनी शर्तों पर जवाब देकर रहेंगे। हर उस जगह जाकर कठोर कार्रवाई करेंगे जहां से आतंक की जड़ें निकलती हैं। दूसरा, कोई भी न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल भारत नहीं सहेगा। न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल की आड़ में पनप रहे आतंकी ठिकानों पर भारत सटीक और निर्णायक प्रहार करेगा। तीसरा, हम आतंक की सरपरस्त सरकार और आतंक के आकाओं को अलग अलग नहीं देखेंगे। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के दौरान दुनिया ने पाकिस्तान का वो घिनौना सच फिर देखा है, जब मारे गए आतंकियों को विदाई देने पाकिस्तानी सेना के बड़े बड़े अफसर उमड़ पड़े। स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड टेररिज्म का ये बहुत बड़ा सबूत है।
Well, the second round of talks between Director Generals of Military Operations of India and Pakistan held on Monday evening. Also, issues related to continuing the commitment that both sides must not fire a single shot or initiate any aggressive and inimical action against each other were discussed. It was also agreed that both sides consider immediate measures to ensure troop reduction from the borders and forward areas. And the borders along northern and western France of India remained relatively calm after days of air sirens and blackouts. A semblance of normalcy was observed in the border areas, with markets teeming with people. Across Kashmir Valley, markets opened and traffic returned to its normal level with no shelling being reported. People in Punjab's border areas feel relieved as tensions ease. Markets are opening and locals hope for peace to continue. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Trump signs executive order targeting major drug price cuts, warns of tariffs on pharma companies. Global stocks soar as US and China agree to a 90-day tariff truce, easing trade war tensions. And BCCI confirms IPL 2025 to resume on May 17th after a week-long suspension amid India-Pakistan tensions.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Vipakshi Khurana. And moving on, Israeli-American hostage Eden Alexander has been reunited with his family in Israel after being held captive by Hamas in Gaza for 19 months. The 21-year-old had been serving in the Israeli army on the border of Gaza when he was captured by Hamas on 7th of October 2023. Alexander was the last living hostage in Gaza with American citizenship. He's also the first hostage to be freed by Hamas since Israel restarted its military offensive on 18th of March after a 2-month ceasefire came to an end. Alexander was freed during a brief pause in fighting in Gaza, but there was no deal on a wider truce or hostage releases as monitors warned of famine in the devastated enclave. Tears of joy as the released Israeli-American hostage Eden Alexander reunited with his family and friends. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hails the return of the US-Israeli captive, saying the return of Israeli hostage Eden Alexander was a very emotional moment. Netanyahu thanked the diplomatic efforts of Trump and stated Israel's military pressure and Trump's political pressure were a winning formula.
This is a very emotional moment. Eden Alexander has returned home. We embrace him and his family. This was achieved thanks to a military pressure and the diplomatic pressure exerted by President Trump. This combination is a winning formula. I spoke today with President Trump. He told me I am committed to Israel. I'm committed to continuing to work in close coordination with you to achieve all our war objectives, to release all the hostages and to defeat Hamas. These goals go hand in hand. They are interconnected.
Also, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres welcomed the release of Israeli-American hostage Eden Alexander. The UN chief, in a statement read by US spokesperson, called for an immediate permanent ceasefire and unconditional release of all remaining hostages.
The Secretary General is profoundly relieved that Mr. Alexander has been freed and is now returning to his family after this harrowing ordeal. The Secretary General renews his urgent call for an immediate permanent ceasefire and an immediate and unconditional release of all remaining hostages. Hostages must be treated humanely and with dignity. He calls on all parties to immediately ensure the rapid, the unhindered, and the safe humanitarian relief, including the delivery of critical services for all civilians in need. Aid in Gaza and anywhere around the world is not negotiable.
Well, in the U.S., hundreds gathered in Tenafly, New Jersey on Monday to celebrate the long-awaited release of Eden Alexander. The crowd, many wearing shirts with Alexander's name and waving Israeli and American flags, erupted in cheers as they saw the first images of him being handed over to the Red Cross and then to the IDF. A native of Tenafly and a soldier in the Israeli Defense Forces, Alexander was abducted on October 7, 2023 and spent 584 days in captivity before being freed and returned to Israel. And US President Donald Trump has departed for Saudi Arabia, kicking off what he describes as a historic tour of the Gulf nations. The trip aims to blend urgent diplomatic efforts with major commercial deals across defense, energy and technology. High on the agenda are talks on the escalating Gaza crisis and the growing tensions with Iran. Trump is expected to push for stronger regional cooperation to counter Iran's influence and to seek solutions to the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. In addition to Saudi Arabia, Trump will visit Qatar and the United Arab Emirates, countries pivotal to U.S. strategic interest. The tour also serves as a platform to finalize significant business agreements, potentially worth billions of dollars. Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department has authorized a $1.4 billion arms sale to the United Arab Emirates just days ahead of former President Donald Trump's visit to the Gulf. The package includes 6 CH-47F Chinook helicopters valued at $1.32 billion, alongside $130 million in F-16 fighter jet components. According to U.S. officials, the deal supports American foreign policy and strengthens a strategic alliance with the UAE. The equipment is expected to bolster the UAE's capabilities in humanitarian aid, search and rescue, disaster relief and counter-terrorism operations. Trump's visit to the region will include stops in Saudi Arabia, Qatar and the UAE, where discussions will focus on Iran, Gaza diplomacy and high-value commercial partnerships, among others. And U.S. President Donald Trump said on Monday that he is considering traveling to Turkey for potential peace talks between Ukraine and Russia, though the Kremlin has not confirmed whether President Vladimir Putin will attend. Speaking to reporters at the White House before departing for a trip to the Gulf nations, Trump said he was thinking about making the trip. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has offered to host the talks, urging both sides to take advantage of what he called a window of opportunity for peace. Putin floated the idea of a direct meeting in response to a ceasefire proposal from Kyiv, which Ukraine says Moscow has ignored. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Monday he wants U.S. counterpart Donald Trump to join peace talks with Russia in Turkey, but the Kremlin was silent about whether Russian President Vladimir Putin would attend. In his nightly video address, Zelensky said he's ready for direct and substantive negotiations with Putin.
Ukraine has always supported diplomacy. I'm ready to be in Turkey. Unfortunately, the world still has not received a clear response from Russia regarding numerous proposals for a ceasefire. Russian shelling continue. President Erdogan expressed full readiness to host the meeting. It is important that President Trump fully supported the meeting, and we would like him to find the opportunity to be in Turkey.
Well, Well, the United States has announced new sanctions on Monday against Iran over its nuclear program, despite ongoing negotiations between the two countries over the sensitive issue. The latest sanctions target 3 Iranian citizens and an Iranian entity with links to Tehran's Organization of Defensive Innovation and Research. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said in a statement that Iran is the only country in the world without nuclear weapons that enriches uranium to 60% purity. That level far exceeds the 3.67% maximum set under the 2015 nuclear deal, which U.S. President Donald Trump exited during his first term. Building a nuclear weapon requires 90% enrichment. The United States announced the new sanctions a day after a 4th round of talks with Iran concluded. No major breakthrough was announced after the talks, but both sides voiced cautious optimism. And U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday signed an executive order asking drug makers to voluntarily reduce the prices of key medicines in the United States. The order gives drug makers price targets in the next 30 days and will take further action to lower prices if those companies do not make significant progress towards those goals within 6 months of the order being signed. Trump told a press conference that the government would impose tariffs on companies if the prices in the U.S. did not match those in other countries, and said he was seeking cuts of between 59% and 90%. Well, Trump's order directs the government to consider facilitating direct-to-consumer purchasing programs that would sell drugs at the prices other countries pay.
The United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries, which is what we were doing. We're subsidizing others' health care. Countries where they paid a small fraction of what, for the same drug, that what we pay many, many times more for. And will no longer tolerate profiteering and price gouging from Big Pharma. But again, it was really the countries that forced Big Pharma to do things that, frankly, I'm not sure they really felt comfortable doing, but they've gotten away with it, these countries. European Union has been brutal.
Well, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was sworn in for the second term on Tuesday following a sweeping electoral victory that delivered the largest centre-left Labour government since Australia's federation in 1901. Albanese credited the win to voter frustration over global instability, including US President Donald Trump's policy. Labour secured at least 92 of 150 seats in the House of Representatives, with final results still pending. Key cabinet roles such as Treasurer, Defence and Foreign Affairs remain unchanged, while new appointments include Michelle Rowland as Attorney General and Tanya Plibersek as Social Services Minister. The opposition Liberal Party elected Susan Ley as its first female leader after losing heavily in urban areas to climate and equality-focused independents. Albanese is scheduled to visit Indonesia and attend the inauguration Mass of Pope Leo XIV in Rome, where he will meet global leaders including EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen to discuss trade and economic ties. And the United Nations has issued an urgent call for de-escalation following intense armed clashes that broke out in Libya's capital, Tripoli. The UN support mission in Libya expressed deep concern over the deteriorating security situation, stating it was alarmed by the unfolding security situation in Tripoli, with intense fighting with heavy weaponry in densely populated civilian areas. In a statement early on Tuesday, the UN support mission in Libya said it was alarmed by the unfolding security situation in Tripoli, with intense fighting with heavy weaponry in densely populated civilian areas. And now some business news. Global stock markets surged on Monday after the US and China agreed to slash steep tariffs for at least 90 days, tapping the brakes on a trade war between the world's two biggest economies that had fed fears of a global recession. Under the temporary truce, the US will cut extra tariffs it imposed on Chinese imports last month from 145% to 30% for the next 3 months, the two sides said, while Chinese duties on US imports will fall to 10% from 125%. Wall Street stocks finished sharply higher, with the S&P 500 closing at its highest level since March 3rd and the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite recording its highest close since February 28th. The dollar rose while safe haven gold prices fell as the news eased, but did not erase concerns that Trump's trade war could crater the global economy. And on to some sports news. The Board of Cricket for Control in India on Monday announced that Indian Premier League 2025 will resume on May 17th after a week-long suspension due to the escalating conflict between India and Pakistan. The BCCI has announced the revised schedule. The IPL Governing Council took the decision to suspend the tournament last Friday after consulting both franchises and players. The IPL still has 12 group matches left, which will be played in the cities of Bangalore, Jaipur, Delhi, Lucknow, Mumbai and Ahmedabad. The league will restart on Saturday with Kolkata Knight Riders locking horn with Royal Challengers Bangalore, with the final to take place on the 3rd of June. And Brazilian Football Association announced on Monday that Carlo Ancelotti will take charge of the Brazil men's national team after leaving Real Madrid at the end of the season. Ancelotti, who is the most successful manager of Madrid, having won 15 titles, has enjoyed 4 hugely successful years in his second tenure at the Spanish Giants, but they are set to finish this season without a trophy. At Brazil, he will lead the side in the FIFA World Cup 2026 if it qualifies, and his first matches in charge would be the World Cup qualifiers against Ecuador and Paraguay next month. Ancelotti is the first foreigner to become Brazil's head coach and replaces Dorival Jr., who held the job for 14 months and before he was sacked in March following a 4-1 defeat at Argentina. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, and let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.